Part 5 of my TV, radio, interview tactics and checklists, which is Part 5, How to Get Author Interviews. Part 1 of 3. So, you just wrote a book, and you're excited to share it with the world. Well, one of the best ways to do that is to get interviewed by people who have their own podcast, radio or TV show, website, forum, blog, newsletter, e-zine, maybe a YouTube channel, Instagram account, and then get their audience to consume what it is that you just wrote. Getting your book in front of other audiences will do wonders for you when it comes to making book sales, exposure for your services or products, a boost to your credibility, pave the way for getting more interviews, even approached by publishing companies later on who can help take your book to the next level, as well as overall success as an author. Getting interviews is one of the fastest, cheapest, and most efficient ways to get your book out there. Today, there are literally thousands of online radio shows and blogs and websites and even TV shows that would like to interview you if your book's content and message is a good fit for their show. The number of interviews that you could go after is only limited by your own efforts and/or those you hire to help you find and secure interviews. In this section, you'll learn exactly how to get an unlimited number of interviews. Here are a number of questions to quickly ask yourself that I'll also answer in the section that you're about to hear. But here's the basic mindset when it comes to getting interviews for you and your book. For starters, what do you want to be interviewed about? What's the subject matter? Typically, it usually comes from your book, right? Okay. Number 2, are you prepared to give an interview? There's a lot that goes into preparation, and I'll discuss that upcoming. Number 3, how well do you know your own material? This is very key. You wrote your book 1, 3, 6 months ago. Do you remember what you wrote? I know even for myself, I have to go back to my books, read them, look through them, and go, oh, I remember. Yep. Memory joggers. Number 4, how do you go about finding interview opportunities? Number 5, to find interview opportunities on your own, follow the following procedures, which I'll give you. Number 6, stay organized as you search for and accumulate interview opportunities. And number 7, at this point, all you need to do now is review my interview checklist, which is upcoming in this audio program. Now, having read over this short list or heard it in the audio program that you're listening to, let's dive into each of these items in more detail with the what to and how to knowledge you'll need to get interviewed. Number 1, what do you want to be interviewed about? What's the subject matter? Naturally, this is an easy question. Your book, of course. But what's important to know is whatever your book's subject matter is about, you'll be chasing after similar like-minded podcast and radio shows, websites, and blog owners whose audience will be interested in your book's topic. And this also goes for social media channels and accounts too: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. In the beginning, go for niche interviews, as I call them. Focus on your niche and go after those shows, websites, and channels whose audiences are a perfect match for your subject. Exhaust your research finding up to 100 different interview opportunities where your book's subject matter is a perfect match. After many interviews, other shows and websites who you would have never approached just might seek you out because they heard you and want to have you as a guest on their show, even though at first glance you never would have thought to approach them. And they you, until you actually invested in all those other interviews. Number 2, are you prepared to give an interview? There's a lot that goes into preparing to do interviews about your book, such as, do you have interview questions ready to hand over to the person you want to interview you with the click of your mouse? Generate about 10 questions for the interviewer to ask that you can answer with ease and confidence. Help them do their job, interviewing you, by providing them with questions about your book. You can see sample questions that I've come up with about my books to get ideas for your own questions. Just go to bartsmithworld.com/interviews, and you'll start seeing what I have up on my website. Because I want to give these people who are going to interview me 10 suggested questions. Let them modify and edit at will. But when they have that to go on, hey, Bart, you really made my job easy. This is great. These are actually really good questions. I would have never thought to have asked them. Thank you for suggesting them. I got a few of my own that I'm going to add to the show as well. I look forward to the time that we get to do the interview. All right. So, do you have a press room or media page on your website where you can post these questions? This way, all you have to do is send this website link to the interviewer to get all the information they need in order to conduct the interview. If you have more than one book that you want to be interviewed for, be sure to create separate interview pages for each book. I did, and I love it. On these pages, you might include images and artwork about you, your book, covers, front and back, maybe interview questions, your bio, how to introduce you, how to order your book, how to schedule an interview, sample interviews, if you have them, and suggested interviews if you have other books or other items to be interviewed about. For example, you can check out my website, again, bartsmithworld.com/interviews, where I have pretty much everything that I need to start marketing myself as a guest on people's shows. Also, do you have high-res images of you, maybe your book covers? And we're talking about 150 to 300 DPI, high resolution. These are essential to have so that the interviewer can display them in areas where they need high resolution. It might be for a TV show. It might be for a magazine or a newspaper. That's for print. They're going to need high res. Do you have them available? And that's what I'm asking. If you do, great. Post them on the Interview Me page per interview you want to be interviewed about. If you don't have them, pretty much on your website, you're going to have regular images for the web, which are 72 dpi, 125, etc. And that's okay. Just, can you get hold of some high-resolution images for your website? That's all I'm asking. Also, is your website ready to take orders? Is your shopping cart tested? Is your payment gateway ready to receive thousands of dollars in orders within an hour's period? Pray that it happens. And it won't be shut off by the merchant account company because they think there's some sort of fraudulent ordering going on. Anytime a merchant account sees a spike in orders, they get scared. They get scared because they think all those orders were done by somebody over in Russia or some China or somewhere, just somewhere. And they're just testing all these credit cards. They're going to shut your merchant account off. Well, I actually have a PayPal account, and I called PayPal. PayPal, for example, doesn't have this problem. They won't turn off my ability to accept thousands of dollars of orders in a small given period of time because their collection of information about the customer is very unique. Half of those people might already have a PayPal account. Half of those people are using credit cards that might be linked to a PayPal account or another type of account, So there's a lot of precautions that PayPal has already set in place when a customer comes to you and wants to buy something from you. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, fraud, it doesn't happen, but it's very rare. Whereas companies like Authorize.net and a few others, and those kinds of merchant providers, they can turn you off just because it's like, we thought there was a spike, so we shut you off when you needed it most to be able to take those orders because you were on TV or a big radio show, and they want you to contact them. I'm not going to contact them when I'm in the middle of a show to try to sit on the phone for an hour to convince them, look, these are legit orders. You got to open up my account. Further, they may even hold your incoming funds for 90 days. Some merchant accounts do this. Ouch. That would certainly put a dent in your ability to purchase supplies and inventory to fulfill those orders. Either way, check with your payment gateway or merchant account provider and ask them specifically. If I generate a high volume of sales within a very short period of time, such as a single day or two, how will you respond, if you will at all? Will you turn off my ability to accept large orders? Will you hold my funds for a certain period of time? What do you do when there's a spike in orders? Because I'll be doing interviews and I just want to make sure that, if I get a few hundred orders within a day or a week's time, I'm still going to get the money. If they say, yes, we typically would shut you off or at least hold your funds for 30 days, then you've got your answer and you might even want to leave them and go with a company kind of like PayPal. They've got those precautions already set in with their customers who come and buy things through their system with their payment capabilities. Also, how will you handle fulfillment of your book? Suppose you receive 50 to 5,000 orders in a single day from one interview. How would you fulfill them? Manually? Or use a fulfillment company? Drop ship them one by one using your printer if you got all those orders and if your account has that kind of functionality? Depending on the audiences that you interview and the size of it, the size of the audience, your choice of fulfillment procedures should match that. For example, if your rate of return on your interviews on a monthly basis runs about 10 to 100 book sales, well, you could probably fulfill those yourself or use a drop ship service through your book printer. Who knows? But if you generate 100 or 1,000 or more orders per month, then you might consider sending all your traffic to an online retailer like Amazon.com who can fulfill your print book orders in mass so you don't have to. Let them transact the sales at any volume and fulfill those orders through their warehouses. Leave all that work to them while you work on interviews, promotion, speaking, and collecting royalties from all your efforts.